Welcome to AMIcast, podcast about Amiga computers. I'm your host, Krzysztof Radzikowski, but call me Krzysztof or Radzik. Welcome at the number 6 of episode of AMIcast, and today we have the special guest that tried to do something for, let's say, more the classic way, because he's the hit of the topic mold, no, not mold, the parts for the new parts, the housing parts for the Amiga 1200. So at the beginning, say something about you, who you are, and to the idea. The idea is from where?
Yes, hi. My name is Philippe Lang, and yes, you're right. Actually, we decided to do something new for the Amiga 1200s. It's not only about me. I have two friends beside me. That these friends actually have a family and don't really want to be in front of the crowd. So I mostly speak for our small crew here. So actually, I do own two Amigas 1200s, which one has a dead motherboard, and the other one is currently being the guinea pig for our tests and for the mold R&D we went through with our manufacturer. So the whole goal here was that what really happened is that I'm an entrepreneur and I was living abroad for 15 years, and I went back in France for some holidays recently. Um, and what happened is that I opened the box I've left here in the attic, and I've discovered my Amiga 1200 again, but it was not in such a good condition. And during my youth, I think I I've done a lot of adjustments to the case. I've cutted parts of the plastic. Well, the shell is still in a very bad shape. So I was talking with this Amiga 1200 with my friends, and after some talking, we started to, because they do also have Amiga 1200s, and but in better shape than mine. But anyway, we decided to buy a new case to have something clean, and also because the wife acceptance factor, so having such a device in the living room just near the TV, yellowed with holes. Well, not every woman will accept that, so we've decided to go over eBay to change, to find new shells, and that didn't went well. So after that, we had many talks about a lot of things and nothing that special. And then suddenly, one of us, I don't really remember which one of us said that, but one of us just said, "Hey, you know what? We just have to build them ourselves." And from jokes, actually, we went into thinking about, hey, maybe that's could be possible. So I lived 15 years abroad. I'm an IT expert, computer hardware, NAS server, importer and distributor, and I do have some contacts, in manufacturers or professionals. So I just gave one or two phone calls with my friends, and here we go. We've decided to launch the Kickstarter. So basically, this is a story. It's not something very fantastic, or it's a simple story about people willing to do something simply.
But at the end of all, the stuff is here that Kickstarter is not so very used, or is not so often used by the Amigas guy. So, but before we start with the Kickstarter, and so on. I want to ask you about the Amiga at all. Yeah, how it happens, your the beginning of the IT or something like this.
Actually, for myself, so now I'm speaking for myself. I started to tinker with hardware and early computers when I was a kid. I think I was like 7 or 8 years old when I first touched an Apple IIe, and that was great. And I think that from this day, um, I never went very far away for any computer. I don't really know what happens this day, but it happened so, and I was always near computers. But sadly, I was not able to have my own computer until I had 16 years old, because my family was a very my parents was simple workers, so I usually read thousands of books, and when I was going to some friends over, and these friends had computers, sometimes I was able to use these computers even better than my friends while not having a computer myself. So that was very funny. And yeah, that's all. And around when I had 16 years old, I got my first Amstrad CPC, who lasted 2 years, I think. Yes, 2 years. And then I remember this day quite vivid in my memory. I went in a big shopping mall around here, and then on top of the escalator, I've heard some music. I turned myself over, and I saw the Shadow of the Beast demo. It was just a sound and music demo. And I remember the feeling I had at this time, like, how is it possible a computer can play such nice music? The sound quality was very nice, and the shop owners put some big loudspeaker, this was very a shock. So when I went back home, I said, you know what, Amstrad CPC, thank you for your service, and I need to replace you. So then I went with my first Amiga 500.
Okay. So after this Amiga, you had some other Amigas too, or was the
Yes, this first Amiga 500, mostly I played games with it, and after a year or so, I also bought an Action Replay MK3 from Duchette Computers in England. I even remember the name of the company, and it was quite pricey by the time. And I started to play a bit with that device, hacking into memories and things like that. And after that, I changed the Amiga 500 for the Amiga 1200 when I was able to buy one, because by that time I was working already.
okay?
So I was able to buy one uh, full set with monitor and memory extension.
Hard disk, I think, and
Actually, no, it was too much expensive for my
Ooh.
poor wallet, So no, but I did bought an external floppy drive, and by the time my best friend name was Xcopy.
Yeah, I think the Xcopy was the biggest friend of the Amiga guys in 20 years ago. Let's say like this. Then
Yes, yes,
was changed it a little bit.
yes.
Okay, so maybe now let's jump to the Kickstarter and the project, because this is not usual in our community that somebody make something on the Kickstarter, or maybe that there was some books or something like this. But at the end of all, this is the something more important at the end of all. New case is nice stuff, and let's start from the beginning because this is the second campaign or campaigning of the Kickstarter. Yeah, the first was not
Yes.
so well. So let's say something about this. How you started with Kickstarter, and this is hard to start. This is the some tips for the other guys that want, I don't know, something to do something for Amiga on the Kickstarter. Yeah.
Actually, yes, launching a Kickstarter project is a lot of people may think that is quite easy. Actually, it's not. You have to prepare a lot of things. I mean, before launching the Kickstarter, before hitting the launch button, of course, your project need to be a sound project. And regarding our project, which is manufacturing goods, manufacturing a plastic case, and over the first Kickstarter, we did not had the license to use the Amiga name, so we were not able to use the name Amiga embossed over the top shell. But still, we had a lot of work to do regarding the mold design. Who is going to design the mold? How much does it cost? And because there is several steps you have to go when you're working on a Kickstarter project. Running a Kickstarter project is like starting a company. It's the same. I do had two companies in the past, and I'm on my way to setting up my new company, a third company, which is nothing to do with this Kickstarter. But because I'm in holidays, so I'm doing that. And launching a Kickstarter project really looked like setting up a new company, because you do have to think about every steps, every expenses, every aspect of the goods production with what manufacturer you're going to work, which companies. There is a lot of things to think about it. And when you thought about that, when you wrote everything down, then you have to go over the working table again to double check or triple check everything.
So this is more or less you must prepare at the first the business plan,
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
And then you go to the Kickstarter and you register yourself there, and then is what happening.
Yeah, this is quite simple actually. You just have to register yourself to Kickstarter as a normal user, create an account, and then you have the ability to either contribute to existing Kickstarter campaign, or you can also set up and create a new campaign for yourself. So this is very nicely done by Kickstarter on their interface. It's quite very easy. They explain every steps of what you have to do. It's quite easy, and after they checked your identity, everything's okay. So it's not very difficult to set up. It's not very difficult at all to set up a campaign. It's about the content of the campaign, which is not as easy as most people would think of.
Okay, so the other question is about the costs of the Kickstarter's project, because let's say I have the business plan, I have the idea. So how much I must pay for the Kickstarter, or the stuff that I must, the provision or something like this. This is high in the Kickstarter or not so high, or
Yes, I understand. Actually, every crowdfunding platforms have fees, but these fees are deducted from your goal when you reach it. So actually, most of the platforms, because of course we did check two or three different crowdfunding platforms. It's all around 10% overall your goal. So for instance, of course, this 10% is not about money that Kickstarter will keep for themselves. Actually, this 10% is represents different steps. Like there is another 3% for the banking fees. There is another 4% for Kickstarter retributions and etc. So there is a different level of fees, but on the overall, you will give back 10% of what you leverage on Kickstarter, which of course it's regarding our projects, it's something like 12,000 euro. So it's not low money, right?
Yeah, but without Kickstarter, probably you cannot do it, or it will be hard to do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, the maybe last question about the Kickstarter, because the Amiga is in the whole world. So, and I think the Kickstarter is only limited to the US, UK, and Germany. Yeah, when it's somebody from other countries, it is hard to make a project. Yeah.
Actually, I'm not really sure about that because I saw a lot of people setting up and launching Kickstarter campaigns. It's not really regarding countries. Of course, legally, there are some constraints on some countries. Right now, I cannot think of, especially of one specific country with some kind of legal limitations. But there is definitely some countries which would be very difficult for you to launch a Kickstarter campaign from there.
Okay. And then maybe one question about the Kickstarter, about again money. When you start the project at Kickstarter, you must have the something like PayPal, or the so big cash is going through the bank transfer.
No,
Probably
actually,
bank transfer.
actually, it's going when you reach the goal. When any Kickstarter project team reach their goal, the money is wired by bank transfer to the account you set up before launching the campaign. As you did say, Kickstarter does not support PayPal. So we do have a lot of users asking us regularly by email and messages that if they can pledge on any reward using people. Actually, no, it's not possible by Kickstarter, and there is a reason for that. The reason is that when you pledge using PayPal on another crowdfunding platform, it costs a lot of money regarding fees. So Kickstarter, for what I think, Kickstarter decided not to go with PayPal simply because it's very complex. It's a really complex process to go over PayPal payment once you reach your goal. Way more complex than a simple credit card company editor like Visa or Mastercard. For Visa and Mastercard set up everything already. It's a world-known credit card companies, and everything is working very easily. But with PayPal, it's much more complicated. So that's why PayPal is not here.
One thing maybe about the Kickstarter and this stuff to manage, because on the Kickstarter for the bakers, this is the bakers, I think, that paying some money. You must, or you should put some goal to achieve the for example the white case in this situation, and so how to do it this, or how to find the way to interest the guy, the potential guys or something like this.
Well, this was not really easy, and still it's not really easy. We do have a very high goal, mainly because the price of the molds we have to manufacture, but not only because of that, also because there is a 10% I've told you just before. and regarding the Kickstarter campaign fees. And another thing about that is that when you launch, one thing very important is when you launch a Kickstarter campaign, when you set up your goal, Kickstarter understand that the goal you set up is including shipping fees, and this is very difficult to manage because shipping fees for someone living in a city near you and shipping fees for someone living on the other side of the world are not the same totally. It's completely shipping fees are way more expensive if you send some goods very far. So this is very difficult because when you set up your goal, Kickstarter understand that this goal mean it's including shipping fees for all your backers, and this is very difficult to manage. So again, I would say to anybody willing to set up a crowdfunding campaign anywhere, think carefully, calculate carefully. It is very difficult to manage this kind of aspect of a crowdfunding campaign.
Okay, so at the end of all, you must have to have the good business plan because you can go out of your budget if something happens. Yeah, at the
Yes,
end of all.
yes, yes. Very yes. You can go over your budget very easily. And because I was working in the past with sorry for that. Because I was working in the past very often with transporters and carriers, and I know my way around, and I was able to negotiate some pricing with carriers. So hopefully we'll make it good, and we're quite confident with that. But with someone who does not have this kind of history, it would be really difficult. And again, people has to be very cautious about shipment fees, processes, and the whole manufacturing process. If it's a good, they're going to manufacture in a factory. I mean, it's all and everything very difficult. And I will answer again your previous question about giving interest to backers
Yeah.
for what we're doing for the cases. So related to the pricing of the manufacturing process, our cases are quite expensive because the Amiga community, even it's worldwide, is not so much as we know. And so there is a medium price. We can go below, and it would be very difficult to go up this medium price. And frankly, this medium price, at first we set it up at 59 euros, and but soon after that, like in a matter of 2 or 3 days, we understood, and because of the help of some people, we understood that this was not possible. It was not going to happen because it was simply not. The price was not even good enough for us to reach any threshold for us to be able to manufacture the cases. So we had to raise the price to 79 euros.
Yeah, but at the end of all, you should go minimum on the zero. Yeah, not on the minus.
Y- y- Yes, actually, it's very difficult. It's a difficult process, and because the audience is so small, we had to cut choices, and we said, of course, you know what, manufacturing a cases for 25 euros, I would be very happy to, but it's simply not possible. It's not possible.
Exactly, like the hardware for Amiga is expensive because the community is quite small. Before the campaigning about what you are doing, the maybe last question, but this is also always connected with your project. How to when you started your project, or when somebody else want to start it, how to promote the project? You should put some YouTube content, or you should the be in the Twitter or something like that. Advices for this, please. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. As you noticed, and as all our listeners already know about that, is that this is actually our second campaign. So when we launched the second campaign, we had a huge boost on the 2, 3, 4 first days of the second campaign because of course we had our first campaign behind us, and we had all this audience who was already attending and waiting for this second launch. So things went quite fast on the second launching, but on the first launching, um, 10 days before, we set up a Facebook page. We also set up a Twitter account, and we started to tease. I mean, lightly, we started to tease about, hey, we're going to do something about the Amiga, and hey, we're going to manufacture something new, something that a lot of people may wait for long, and etc. So yes, we had to make some announcements and some teasing, and we also did a small video afterward in the manufacturer where we're going to build the cases. And regarding videos, we're not really good at it, specifically myself. So, and as you may know, my accent is quite bad. So,
But I love to make a broken English podcast, so it's good. My English is even. Let's forget it. This is
yeah,
not the
yeah,
best English podcast in the world.
yes, but actually, it was quite hard for me to step up in front of the camera and say and start to speak. So it was very funny. I think we had something like 25 or 30 different takes, and then at the end we said, okay, enough. We just take what is good out of that, and we push the, the video. And so regarding videos, around next week from now, we're going to push 1 or 2 more videos regarding the Raspberry Pi 2 installment used with the Kira V2 keyboard adapter, uh, and Amiga emulation within the Pi. So we are going to publish a video when we're going to play some games and using the workbench, um, just to demonstrate that everything's working nicely using the Pi. And then at the same time, while playing a game, we intend to open the case for people to understand and to see that actually there is not it's not a real Amiga inside. Of course, it's a bit of shame because I'm a hardware guy, and I like real Amigas, but it's just simply to see mostly for the Pi users, that they can have a very cool design case for their Pis using the Amiga keyboard.
Yeah, this is. I have to this some questions too, but first, because I will forget for sure, the one question about the promotion again is if you think the promotion in Amiga project like this one or other, it is enough to promote this project only in Amiga media like Amiga.org or other stuff strict connected to Amiga, or is nice to try to reach the guys outside our community. Yeah.
Actually, it's nice to reach anybody outside the community, but you have to concentrate also within the community, because the community is your first audience comes from within the Amiga community for this project. But of course, there is a lot of people around here that are not within the community anymore, but was previous Amiga owners, and these guys are responding very well to retro gaming and retro computing. So of course, making announcement and publishing news on other medias, it's helpful actually. Like um, Raspberry Pi Foundation actually pushed today one news regarding the fact that with setting up Raspberry Pi mounts inside the case. So it's always good to spread the word, and because maybe we'll be able to some previous Amiga owners will maybe think that, hey, I had an Amiga when I was young back in the days. I want one again. Our community is shrinking. We have to do something to make it shrinking slower, or maybe even growing again.
Yeah, I think the same because the what what I saw and what I see here, this is at the end of all, easy we are dying, yeah, somehow.
Yes,
But
yes, you're right.
now maybe let's go more directly to your project, the idea of this, okay, but. For example, the development of the case in this situation, you made some prototype in 3D printing systems or some yeah you should prepare something first somehow in real life and then find them the manufacturer guy or how it's the
Yes,
beginning of this.
yes. Actually, we did not have to make any prototype. What we did is we took the real thing, the real deal. I mean, my own case, which is already dead. But so we took my case and we drilled holes and we cut the case. And when we were quite happy with what we done, we'll never show any picture of that, or maybe we will, but not now because it's a mess, you know. So it's really a very early prototype. But when we were happy with the enhancements, we were willing to integrate in the new cases. We took this strangely shaped prototype with us, and we visit some manufacturer because some people out there actually told us that, hey, you know what, I just contacted a manufacturer by email or anything. It's not going, it's not like that. You can do such a project. You have to physically visit and see professionals, manufacturers, and show them what you want to do, what kind of products you want to manufacture. So we took this prototype to some manufacturers. We got our first numbers. We told them what we want to do, how we want to do it, and of course we needed to have a lot of help from them because, like I said, none of us are plastic specialists or anything. So regarding this project, we had to choose what kind of plastic we use. So actually, we are going to inject ASA plastic, which is a very good plastic that does not get yellowed over the time. He has UV protection.
Okay,
So this is very important.
this
And
is true.
yes, and the cases are using the cases are not painted. The paint is within the plastic itself, using granular plastics. And when we need a special color, we just say, okay, we need a pink case, and we'll get a pink plastic granules, and then this plastic will be injected in a mold. So it is real colored plastic. It's not painting.
Oh, this is good. This sounds like good quality, so this is good.
Yes, yes. Actually, what we went to is we simply asked to all to the different manufacturers we were in contact with. We want something of good quality. Price is important, but we want something of good quality. We don't want to produce any crap or anything because, like I said before, I was an importer, so I like good quality products. Of course, most of the time, good quality products has a higher cost than like some medium quality products. But there is a choice to be done here, and we'd like we we really prefer to have a very good quality case with some of the enhancements. There is one enhancement we haven't talked about on our Kickstarter page because we haven't done it. We haven't finished yet. Regarding the closing system of the case, if you remember well, most of the time, opening and closing the case 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 times, you have this kind of notches, retain the case all together. So they don't simply break over the time because it's crap. I don't know what Commodore was thinking about that time, but of course, they didn't want the user to open and close their case so often. So
Exactly.
yes, so I think like you and some of our listeners have some of the notches of the case already broken. So we're thinking about something else. Actually, we're doing some tests. Still currently, we're doing some tests with some sort of hinges, like for a door. And you would simply have 1 or 2 screws to remove from under the case, and then the case will open itself very simply, like hinges.
Okay, so this is this means the whole project, the new case is, or it will be improved compared to the original one.
Yes, actually improved just on very specific needs, but because, as I said, on this second campaign, we do have an Amiga license. We bound to this license, and now we have to produce exact replicas, Amiga 1200 cases. So our enhancement was are all validated. We were allowed to make these enhancements, I think, but we can change a lot of things, but we're glad because now we can use the Amiga name embossed on the top shelf. like these are going to be real Amiga cases, legally
Okay.
real Amiga cases.
Good question. I think a lot of guys will be interested. How you obtain the license for the Amiga name from? Because then this is now so complicated. Now I don't know. For example, I must contact Amiga Incorporated, or I
Yes.
must contact Colanto, or who is responsible for this? Yeah.
Actually, the tracking was quite simple. We simply had to note and to understand who's the owner of the Amiga name. As simple as that. Plastic shapes can be patented. So manufacturing a plastic shape who looks like an Amiga 1200 cases, like what we did in our first campaign, it's very simple. But adding a name on it, which is Amiga, this is less than simple. So we had to contact the right owner of the name Amiga, and this is Amiga Inc. So
And there was a problems or no problem, or you must pay for license, or
any
how?
any license, there is several different kind of licensing regarding any companies. Apple licensing are different than Hewlett Packard licensing and Microsoft licensing, and every companies has their own licensing schemes. But of course, every licensing contract has its own rules. So we were told, we were asked by Amiga Inc. to not disclose anything, any of the content of the contract. So I can't say anything more than that. But what I can say is that every company who own licenses, and you want to manufacture a product or develop a software, and you want to use their intellectual property, you have to license them. There is nothing around that.
Okay, I will not push this tema more, but only just one question. If I want to do something with Amiga name, uh, the guys there, the Amiga Incorporated, is hard to talk, or this is normal guys? Because in our community, for example, everybody or the half of us thinks that they are already dead. Another half thinks that they killed the Amiga. So the question is, the guys are hard to contact, or it's worth trying or not? Oh.
Actually, I would answer your question by asking you another question. uh, it's is your project worth of not or not? If you have if you have a worthy project, something very interesting, something new, something which at the end of the process will bring something to the Amiga community, to the Amiga history. If you really and if you really have an interesting project, they will answer you. They will get back to you because you some value, adding value to the community. Making new cases is the bringing value because within our cases you'll be able to use, of course, Amiga hardware, Raspberry Pi, also the MIST FPGA board by Till Hadron, and of course also individual computers feature Amiga 1200 reloaded motherboard, which is going to be compatible with this new case and also with A500 cases. If you bring value, I don't see why they would not answer you. Any company, any
Okay, so
company.
at the end of all this I think something means like this, that the Amiga trademark is still worth something for Amiga Incorporated and for the guys and for the world, because I heard this, the Amiga now, in after 20 years of Commodore bankruptcy, is means nothing for it. Doesn't matter, yeah.
Actually, what is really clear here is that a lot of people have their own opinion of what happened back in the day regarding the Amiga brand and
Mm.
who decided to do what, maybe what kind of mistakes they made, and this is all past now. We have to pass that. Uh, we have to go over these endless discussions. We have to move over. We have to step over and go forward. And so when you decide to do something, to create a product or anything, you simply have to contact the right person and make things happen.
Okay, so before we go, before other questions about your project, because now we are something like more in the Amiga future. What do you think about Amiga future, and are you interested in classic line? I will say like classic line, or maybe you are interested in the NG systems, or maybe you have some tips, for example, because you are doing something for community to go to the future, because now in my opinion we are a little bit in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, the classic line is nice, and the NG system are more now retro platform than the NG release systems. So any advices, or what do you think about our future in 5 years?
Before talking about the future, I'd like to talk about what is existing right now. Right now, there is, of course, the Amiga Classic line, which were designed 20 years ago, and somehow still work beautifully as of today. And beside that, we have many different kind of companies uh, designing hardware for this classic line of computers. Just imagine that. Is there any uh, Spectrum, Sinclair, QL, Amstrad, CPC companies designing products for this kind of computers today? As of today, no. But for the Amiga, yes. And why? Because people love the Amiga, even of the classic lines. So what some of them are trying now for the future of the Amiga is to develop a new system, which is Amiga OS 4, which is a beauty, I think. And but this also need hardware. And for what I understand, I may be wrong, but for what I understand, is that to relaunch something totally new, I mean, to be able to produce a new kind of Amiga line with the same kind of feelings, yes. Sorry again.
Yeah, you have the birds there. Or...
Yes, actually, I'm using a very nice software named Mailbird. It's a mailing client, and
Okay.
yeah, yeah, and Bird was a name because of the sound. And what I was saying, yes. So actually, there is some different companies making new hardware for classic line, but also thinking of the future. And while saying that, I think a lot about individual computers, which they make they're doing actually a great work by keeping the Amiga spirit alive. Of course, there is not only individual computers. There is other companies as well, but they do have deep thinking of how the Amiga future should be, but they're also limited because of the audience. It's like a serpent eating eating himself, because the audience is so small. It's very difficult to develop a new products. I mean, for futures Amiga, not for the classic line. Developing for the classic line, developing hardware for the classic line is important because it maintains yes, it maintains the audience alive. I mean, he helps to slow the shrinking of the Amiga community. But the Amiga community to grow again needs new hardware and need the well-known Amiga future of the Amiga slogan and words, we used to see everywhere. So from my view of things, I think we should all people who has experience, marketing, um, hardware, hardware design, electronics, um, all people who are fans but also who are professionals should at a certain period of time join together forces, because as of today, regarding the market, uh, we have big boys in front of us. We have Microsoft, the Wintel club. Yes, we have Apple. So Apple and Microsoft, I don't know, but I think they have like 99% of the market, right?
Oh, for
So,
sure, yeah.
yes. So what does this mean regarding the Amiga future? The Amiga future will not be if we don't find any solution to make and to push a new system alongside with new hardware, giving giving to the audience, not only Amiga audience, but giving to the general and overall audience a different experience, something different than from Apple and than from Microsoft, but not so much different because let's say it. Uh, People as of today, they want to use Twitter, they want to use Facebook, they want to play games, and they want to send email, they want to use Gmail, they want to do all that kind of stuff. And if there is another alternative system which does not have internet connection, system which does not allow the use of Facebook in a browser, in a modern browser. A system which does not support modern technology, not only hardware but also software. This system is already dead because to sell products and I think it's the seller and myself speaking here. To sell products, you have to attract people. To attract people, you have to bring them not only what already existing, but something more. It's the Amiga future. I think it's coming slowly, but it's coming. But we have to work. All people in the Amiga community have to work together. I think maybe not me, maybe not my friends, or maybe but more clever people than us designing hardware and software. Yes, we of course we need them.
Yeah, together we can do more. This is true.
Yes.
So, at the end of all, like I said, probably we should have the revolution because now the new Amiga systems, they are not so revolutionary, I will say, and the support of internet is low. But more or less about this revolution project for Amiga or even for now. And have you plans now or in the future to, for example, when your project is successful, to prepare something like this, like this case, for new board from Acube, for example, for this or for X5000 or something like this. X5000, I think this is too big, but this small mini ATX or whatever his name, this is possible to put in this case, or you think about it?
Actually, yes, we do have thought about the future of the case, or what is it possible to do with this shape of case, and there is quite some issues, like other boards who possesses in-out inputs which is raised, so it's not possible to put it in this case. So actually, the cases we just designed here are cases for mainly cases for the classic Amiga lines, and of course Raspberry Pi and MIST boards. But there is also two other campaigns we are going to launch very shortly regarding new A1200 internal keyboards. We're going to launch soon.
Yeah, I saw this on your Kickstarter page.
Yes, as well on our webpage we've updated 2 days ago. And at the same time, we also launched a third Kickstarter campaign regarding keycaps only, so that any Amiga user having an A500, A600, A1200, A3000 external keyboard, and somewhat of A4000 external keyboard, CDTV, or even CD32 keyboard, they will be able to replace their keycaps. So
or customize it, yeah. You can put the black one on the white case, yeah. For example.
Totally, yes. Of course, there is some minor issues regarding the A4000 external keyboard, because the return key has a different shape. The shift left key has also a different shape. On the A600, there is a couple of keys that has also different shapes, and some owners of the early A500 also has incompatible internal keyboard on the A500 because the keyboard Commodore manufactured at this time was not from the same company. They manufactured all their other keyboards. But we already told to people how to check if the keyboard are compatible or not on our website. kit keycaps. I think keycaps are going to be very well accepted from within the company. Of course, we also designing molds for keycaps because this does not exist anymore. Again, but this will be way more cheaper than molds for decays, of course.
Yeah, this is a little bit smaller.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, let's maybe talk about the project. How you get the names, for example. So the games like Heini or you know the celebrities of our world or Petro. I see on the Kickstarter page when somebody goes to the Kickstarter page, you can see what you are offering and let's say something about this about the special cases, special colors, special modes of cases and so on.
Yes. Actually, it's very simple. You're just contacting them, just saying hello. How you doing? We are this, we are that, and we're doing this and that. And maybe it would be wonderful if you'd like to join us on this adventure because it's like an adventure, you know. Because if you remember, all of this started just because one of us made a joke about manufacturing our own case, you know. So we never thought that this story would go so fast and so far, you know. And we're glad we made it. But still, we have the campaign to achieve its goal. But it was quite easy. We just had to contact them very simply in a simple manner, and we just explained them what we were doing, and if they were interested to like for the signature to add the signature on the bottom shell of the new case, like on the A1000 case.
Yep.
So this was very easy. And then for the special editions, we just asked them like to Petro or like to Scopex Demoscene Group, also to Red Sector Inc. Same way, we just contacted them, told them what we were doing, if they were willing to interested, and if they were willing to join us. Sorry for that again. And yes, they really liked doing that. So we have a special manifest for our partners to follow. So that they can select a dedicated color for their special editions. These dedicated color cases are not going to be manufactured again. So I will make an announcement again here, just to say again that, for instance, the RSI case color or the Scopex case color will never be manufactured again. This is very unique piece of cases, and if you don't have any Scopex case, if you don't pledge on one right now, I mean you can, because there is none anymore. But I think there is one Lukash left, transparent case. If you don't get it right now, you will not have any chance to have one. Or maybe if one of the previous backer wants to sell it on eBay, I don't know what.
Yeah, but the price will be different. In
Yes,
this situation, I think.
Yes, the price will be different.
Okay, but the question about this, because after this separated from when the your project, the Kickstarter will finish, you send the cases to all bakers.
Yes.
Then the case will be available at shops, or this will be only available through the Kickstarter page, and when the project is finished, you cannot buy it.
Actually, right now, right off now, this moment precisely, we have one partner, which is a shop in Spain, which, if you don't mind, I will say its name. It's Amiga Store, and he has a partnership with us, and he's going to support us for this campaign, of course. And right now, after this campaign has finished, I think he will be the first shop in the Amiga industry shop, if I could say so, which is going to have Amiga 1200 cases in stock to distribute. So I think this is going to be great. Let me be precise about one thing. When the manufacturing process will be finished, keeping our molds on the press and pressing extra cases, this costs money, and keeping these cases in stock. I mean, to store them somewhere costs money also. And again, I'm sorry about that. And so all this process, maybe we'll be manufacturing white original A1200 cases, maybe 10 or 20 extra pieces, just for like good sake, if anyone's need to be replaced for one of backers because the shipping went not so good or anything like that. So of course we will manufacture some extra cases, but not hundreds. Maybe like just 20, 30 pieces max, just in case to for after sales, if I may say so, which is not really an after sale, but just to support backers,
Yeah, to have some backup or something
Yes,
like this.
yes, totally.
Maybe one more question about this your project, because on the Kickstarter there is the information that the models of the cases will be available for public. This means somebody, if want and know how to use SolidWorks, he can take it and, for example, make the other solution or solution for example for NG Amigas.
Yes.
Good. This is
Yes.
good.
Yes. We'll definitely leave the files for free, but because there is a but.
But sorry, this will be files only on about the of case, not of the mold. Yeah, I think.
This will be the files of the case. Yes, of course. There is one very special thing about that. Is we are going to leave free access to these files under Common Creative license, I guess. I still need to ask my consultant for that, my lawyer, to be precise, and under which licensing scheme we're going to leave access to these files. But this means that we will also forbid any commercial use of these files. It's only the only purpose of these files being put in the public access is for anybody willing to, for instance, manufacture in their TV room with a MakerBot 3D printer. They want extra, I don't know, they want extra trapdoors, or they want to replace a plastic adapter. Of course, they can do it.
Okay, so maybe the question about because I think your partnership with Mist was not so hard to get, but how you got the partnership with Raspberry Pi? Because I think the such a big player like Raspberry is now on the market. They don't care about the funny companies or funny projects for 1,000 people. Huh?
Manufacturing new Amiga 1200 cases is a funny project. I think it has its importance. And regarding the Raspberry Pi, the importance is quite high because Raspberry Pi Foundation CEO himself said that he really would like to see a Raspberry Pi running the Amiga. system. He said that, and I think we just arrived at the perfect time. The timing was perfect, I guess. Because of the fantastic Kira V2 keyboard adapter, again by individual computers, and we are going to users are going to, of course it's not a real Amiga, but users are going to use Raspberry Pi. Really sorry about that again. People are going to use the Raspberry Pi and the real Amiga 1200 keyboards through the Kira V2 and the Amiga 1200 case. It will look like a real Amiga.
Okay, so I want to ask you about. Okay, so I want to about again this Pi. The case. This means the case will be. I can buy the case, or somebody can buy the case and use it with your 1200 motherboard, and then you can use it. Change the motherboard for Pi version, for example. So the case will be for one case for all.
The case is supporting every Amiga 1200 motherboard revision. Of course, aside from the Raspberry Pi and the MIST FPGA board, there is also mountings to put the Kira V2 keyboard adapter inside.
More or less, I think we know everything. So maybe let's talk about the timing, because on the Kickstarter, I must see this here. Wow, where I am. The timing is so the project, the Kickstarter part will be ended somehow like soon, yeah. And now you think you can reach the target? I hope yes.
Actually, yes. We're quite confident. So yes, we're quite confident. There is some new special edition cases which are going to come super soon. One of the main game publisher back in the days for the Amiga, and we're going to set up a special edition with a re-edition of these games plus the boxes and everything. So, but I can't say anything more about that right now. So yes, this time we're quite confident to reach the goal. If for any reason we don't reach the goal, we are not going to launch this campaign any third time ever, because 2 times is already too much, and people have to understand that if they want new cases, okay, this is it. We bring them the possibility to have new cases.
Especially that now in the next year will come the Amiga Reloaded from individual computers, so this could be the nice companion, yeah. When you buy the mobile, you can buy the new case for this, yeah.
It's important to have new cases, new motherboard. With a new case and a new motherboard, extremely, you have a new computer.
And about again Kickstarter, maybe because I don't know if we talk right now before this or about this, but what I saw this or what I see in the Amiga community, the Kickstarter campaigns, they are not so popular, or everybody says make no sense. The community is so small. What do you think about this? This is makes sense to launch the other Kickstarter about Amiga, something hardware, books or games, I don't know.
Yeah, actually there is two kinds of Kickstarter campaigns regarding the Amiga community. The first kind of Kickstarter campaign is Kickstarter campaigns working on the retro gaming feelings people had when they was younger, like books editing and music CD editing, movies editing. This kind of Kickstarter campaign, which I very like them also, and I did bought some books, not from the Kickstarter, but from the editor, from the publisher who sell the book on the net, on the internet. So this is one kind of Kickstarter campaign. The other kind of Kickstarter campaign is, and there is not much actually. We are part of it, of this kind, is manufacturing Amiga products. I mean, not books, but hardware. I mean, so we're not really hardware because right now we're manufacturing only a case, but with the keyboard, we go in hardware. And so
This is a starting point.
yes,
Maybe.
yes, this is a starting point. But I'm not an electrician professional or something like that. I'm just using my contacts because I used to work with this kind of people before. Uh, but what I want to say is that a new case, a new keyboard, a new motherboard, a new expression board, and you get a new computer. If you do this together, it's going to be able to grow the community again. And I think the future is bright. So now about people saying it's nonsense to run such a campaign, or it's great to run such a campaign. Well, of course, I'm not I'm not the one who will tell you it's nonsense because I would not be here if it was for me. But what I can say is I do understand why some people are saying this is nonsense. For me, the Amiga is nothing about retro. Of course, it's retro about feelings you had when you were younger. But when you see right now what Amiga was for you doing, this is not retro. It's now. It's not future, of course, but it's what's happening now. And a Sega Saturn, a Nintendo NES, this is retro, of course. GBA, this is retro. Um, Atari Jaguar, yes, it's retro. Amiga, retro? Not so much. Look, we're making cases and people are manufacturing new motherboards. But I do understand people saying that it could be nonsense. For us, no, it's not nonsense. It's just that we're just doing something we like to do. And I've never been productive on the Amiga when I was a young guy, and my friends neither. And now we've grown up, and we can do something. So why not? We do something, and hopefully we make it good.
I think when your project will be, and I hope this shouldn't be a problem, will be a success in Amiga way, maybe the other guys will start to think put the project on the Kickstarter more advanced than book about the retro games, because this is, I think, quite easy. But something like case or maybe some hardware or something, more important for us. Probably you are of the first guys that maybe show the way. So let's hope it will go in good way.
I will simply say that people willing to launch any product, any Kickstarter campaign, even if they think something as complicated to do, difficult to do, time consuming, need to do a lot of researches, I would simply say that you have to step up. You have to step up, and you have to go further. You have to make a difference. Because if it was easy to do any such kind of things, everybody would do it. It's because it's difficult. Not so many people are doing anything. So if you want to do it, you can, but be prepared because there is some work to do.
This is not easy stuff, but somebody, yeah. This is nice that you want to do something, because this is important. Okay, so I think more or less we are done. My question another is if you want to add something to our small interview here.
Well, I'm not sure it was small at all, but yeah, I would like to thank you very much for your proposal for this interview. That was very nice. I was very happy to be able to express on behalf of my team all we went through. It's not about all we went through, but some of it. And we know that what we're doing right now, some people may not like it, and some people may not understand it, and some people may have comments about um, the Kickstarter goal, size, and how we made some choices. And there is a lot of discussions everywhere, of course, and we don't expect to be perfect at this, but
Yeah,
but we're doing it.
but yeah, exactly, and I hope that our interview will help your it will be help to your project, and I hope this will be connected with your project, with success of your project. It will show the other way to doing Amiga stuff, not only traditional way. Yeah, so maybe together we can do something more.
And I'm sure there is a lot of talented people in here. You just need to rise up, you know.
Yeah, you must believe in yourself at the end of all to do
Yes,
something. Yeah?
yes, totally.
Good. So the end, the last part. No, not the last part. The only one thing, because I always ask about this. For the because talked about our community is not so big, going smaller and smaller, and when somebody new comes here, what you can advise the emulation, maybe the buy classic Amiga, maybe the buy NG. So the for the beginners, the few words for the beginners. How to start?
How to start right now, as of today, without ever knowing anything about the Amiga 20 years ago, I would say if you like to tinker with things, and if you really like to think different, because Amiga is thinking different, despite what Apple said. It was Amiga who were
Oh,
thinking different at first.
nice. This is something tasty there.
Yes, so they can start with the original Amigas, with the classic line. But what is very nice with the Amiga, I'd like to say it's like the startup sequence. You know, the startup sequence is very open. You can put in here anything you want, and there is always a way you can adjust and you can optimize your startup sequence for your computer to boot faster or to do something better. So I would say the same here. Um, uh, Going with the Amiga, there is always something you can adjust, and there is always something you can optimize to do better. And that's the reason why the Amiga hardware and the Amiga system is so versatile, even as of today. It's still so popular. So to beginners, I'd say it might look maybe confusing at start, but you will definitely love it. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, good. This is good point of view because yeah, the system is easy. Welcome to AMIcast, podcast about Amiga computers. I'm your host, Krzysztof Radzikowski, but call me Krzysztof or Radzik. Welcome at the number 6 of episode of AMIcast, and today we have the special guest that tried to do something for, let's say, more the classic way, because he's the hit of the topic mold, no, not mold, the parts for the new parts, the housing parts for the Amiga 1200. So at the beginning, say something about you, who you are, and to the idea. The idea is from where?
Yes, hi. My name is Philippe Lang, and yes, you're right. Actually, we decided to do something new for the Amiga 1200s. It's not only about me. I have two friends beside me. That these friends actually have a family and don't really want to be in front of the crowd. So I I mostly speak for our small crew here. So actually, I do own two Amigas 1200s, which one has a dead motherboard, and the other one is currently being the guinea pig for our tests and for the mold R&D we went through with our manufacturer. So the whole goal here was that what really happened is that um, I'm an entrepreneur and I was living abroad for 15 years, and I went back in France for some holidays recently. Um, and what happened is that I opened the box I've left here in the attic, and I've discovered my Amiga 1200 again, and but it was not in such a good condition. And during my youth, I think I I've done a lot of adjustments to the case. I've cutted parts of the plastic. Well, the shell was is still in a very bad shape. So I was talking with this Amiga 1200 with my friends, and after some talking, we started to, because they do also have Amiga 1200s, and but in better shape than mine. But anyway, we decided to buy a new case to have something clean, and also because the wife acceptance factor, you know. So having such a device in the living room just near the TV, yellowed with holes. Well, not every woman will accept that, so we've decided to go over eBay to change, to find new shells, and that didn't went well. So after that, we had many talks about a lot of things and nothing that special, and then suddenly one of us, I don't really remember which one of us said that, but one of us just said, "Hey, you know what? We just have to build them ourselves." And from jokes, actually, we went into thinking about, "Hey, maybe that's could be possible." So I lived 15 years abroad. I'm an IT expert, computer hardware, NAS server importer and distributor, and I do have some contacts, you know, in manufacturers or professionals. So I just gave one or two phone calls with my friends, and here we go. We decided to launch the Kickstarter. So basically, this is a story. It's not something very fantastic, or it's a simple story about people willing to do something simply.
Yeah, but at the end of all, the stuff is here that Kickstarter is not so very used, or is not so often used by the Amigas guy. So, but before we start with the Kickstarter and so on, I want to ask you about the Amiga at all. Yeah, how it happens, your the beginning of the IT or something like this.
Actually, for myself, so now I'm speaking for myself. I started to tinker with hardware and early computers when I was a kid. I think I was like 7 or 8 years old when I first touched an Apple IIe, and that was great. And I think that from this day, I never went very far away for any computer. I don't really know what happens this day, but it happened so, and I was always near computers. But sadly, I was not able to have my own computer until I had
It was AMIcast, podcast for all Amiga users.